Okay! How about that, ladies and gentlemen? How about that for a game at Lincoln Financial Field? How about that Bears rolling into Philly and just kicking our teeth in? It's great. Gotta feel good about it. No need for change. No need for anything to be different. No need for panic in Philadelphia, right? 281 yards rushing were given up by the Philadelphia Eagles against the Chicago Bears. First off, let me do this. Before I get into the diatribe about Philadelphia, and there will be plenty, and there will be plenty of it, let's give kudos to the Chicago Bears, number one. I don't want to dismiss them because they are a really good football team. They got one hell of a coach in Ben Johnson, getting this team to bring the physicality to the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a 7th round pick in Monangai running for $125, $130. DeAndre Swift gave $130. He's got Caleb Williams playing good football, albeit today wasn't a great day for him, but he certainly played good in moments that he needed to. He's changed the culture in Chicago and the roster in Chicago, albeit the defense isn't necessarily the greatest thing. The roster in Chicago, at least they're having an identity. They're building a culture and they're building something. So you got to give kudos to them. They haven't had that in a very long time. And they're 9-3 on the year, atop of their division. So kudos to them. Kudos to Ben Johnson. Kudos to that organization. And I've been somebody who is very critical of Chicago's organization. They got it right so far. This Philadelphia Eagles, though. I mean, come on. Wow. This team is a shit show. Now, the beauty of being a fan of this team for some time now, I've been a fan since 2007, you could start to recognize when things are terrible. And objectively right now, this team stinks. And for everybody out there who was critical of A.J. Brown, for anybody out there who was saying trade his ass, get rid of him, how does he look now? He's been telling you all season long. This was what he was talking about. And every Eagle fan's going to go out there and say, we got to trade that guy. That's the best player on the team, who is the only one who has the balls to say it to the media that this team and this offense is not carrying its weight, despite the fact you're winning games. But he's the villain. He's going to be the guy that gets shipped off in the offseason. He's going to be the guy that gets pictured as the diva, that gets pictured as the asshole. And everyone in Philadelphia Eagles Nation, or a good majority of you, are going to sit there and say, good riddance, get rid of 11. He's the only one that showed up today. A.J. Brown, you got my support, man. Genuinely. You're the best player on this Philadelphia Eagles team. You are one of the few players on this team that's got a freaking pulse to the situation, that's willing to do something about it. You will never be looked at as a villain by this guy. Never. Leaves us to the coaching staff, leaves us to this quarterback, this philosophy, this organization. And we're going to talk about all of that, on how incompetent they have been all season long. And the worst part of it all is there's nothing that's going to change about it, because quite frankly, if you look in the macro sense over the course of the last few years, they can justify and say, hey, we're not changing a damn thing about what we're doing. But you know what? As an Eagles fan, today we get to rip them. We get to rip them to shreds and be justified in every single second of it. Because quite frankly, they look stupid. They look pathetic. They look inept. That's what they are. They look like, at this very moment, a joke of a football team. And they deserve every last second of the diatribe. And we'll get into that in just a moment. But before we do that, let's introduce you to the show. This right here is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I am your host, a very angry host, an Asif Body. And like you, I am a bird fan who talks about the birds, only the birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here. Help us grow this channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribing to the channel. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support on the opposite side of the camera and on the opposite side of the airwaves. Where do I begin, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, let's just pick one thing to begin with. Let's start with the coaching staff, okay? Let's start with Sirianni, and then we'll work our way down, okay? Again, macro sense here. As head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles over the last 4 to 5 years, he's won a lot of football games as a head coach, right? Say what you want about him. For whatever reason, he has a lot of wins, and you got to give a coach credit for that. At the same time, I've never seen a stupider freaking coach in my life. I swear to, I'm not even going to do it. My father tells me not to use the Lord's name in vain, not to bring the Lord on the show, so I won't do it. But my goodness, I've never seen a coach just be as silly as this guy. Like, this is a silly ass head coach. Okay, objectively speaking. Now, you could say that look what he's got to work with at quarterback. I get it. That's a whole nother conversation, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But for Sirianni, literally every time they have given him the autonomy, anytime this organization has given him any control, it looks stupid, inept, fumbling, stumbling, unsure, uncertain, slimy. Really, exactly what it looked like when he first came into Philadelphia with his first press conference, hasn't it? Sometimes you are what you are. And quite frankly, this football team embodies the head coach. The identity of this team embodies this head coach. It makes no sense. It's inexplicable, unorthodox, not disciplined, unsure. And on a team with so much talent as this team, those are not traits that you would associate with guys on this football team. And yet they play exactly like that. They play unsure. They play stupid. They play undisciplined. They play timid. All of those things are what you would describe Nick Sirianni. I mean, what the hell was the call? To go for it. To go for 2. You're down 9. And you decide to go for 2 because your analytics tell you to do so. Read the freaking room. Take the points. The points are at a premium in this game. And you ended up, again, hindsight's 2020, you ended up getting the stop with like a minute 20. And yet, despite that, the Chicago Bears are like, they're down 2 possessions, the morons. What are they going to do? All because you went for 2. Now, you're going to say, oh, what would have happened if he scored the 2-point conversion? You'd still need a touchdown and a field goal. You still need the same thing. You still be down 1 possession. It makes no sense. You got to go for the points there. And yet this guy just decides, this is like the 3rd or 4th week in a row, ladies and gentlemen, where his only job was to manage the game because he doesn't play call. He doesn't do anything on defense. His job is to manage the temperature and the tempo of the game, and he sucks at it. He sucks at it. This doofus sucks at it. It's unreal. Unreal. And then he give him the autonomy to hire a doofus of a coordinator that's only had he's only had 2 jobs that were worth a damn in the NFL. And that guy's been he's been a coach for 14 years, and he's only had 2 jobs that are worth a damn. Got this guy calling plays for what is one of the more talented offenses in the NFL. And you got a first-time training wheels coordinator calling the freaking game who has no pulse, who has no feel for what's going on. Holy shit. Jeez. I've never seen anything quite like it. Genuinely never seen anything quite like it. And just when you think the coach is a doofus and inept, you look at the quarterback. And again, I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. Like, I support the man. But you know what? For those of you who are on the radio audience, I took off the Jalen Hurts jersey. I can't deal with it right now. What the hell was that? How many times does this offense have to look like it's being dragged by an anchor week after week after week after week after week after week after week? I mean, how many weeks in a row? Where's the accountability on this football team? Where's the identity on this football team? Where's the leadership on this football team? The only one that's even got a remote sense of leadership is A.J. Brown, and all of you want to get rid of him. Jalen Hurts was awful tonight. And he hasn't been good all year. He's had moments, don't get me wrong. And he's had times where you look at him and you say, yeah, I think the guy can actually move the ball down the field if perhaps the coaching staff would let him. And I still believe, genuinely do believe that they're giving this guy a pair of handcuffs and they're telling him to make it work, and he doesn't fit the box that he's trying to be put in. But at the same time, hit a damn slant. Hit the throw. Make the right decision. That's your job. Read the defense. That's your job. Your job is not to be the star. Your job is to get the ball to the stars on the team. And you're not doing that at a high level. Your job as the $50 million quarterback is to uplift the team when everything's going to shit. You got no running game. Your defense held the team to 24 points, albeit they gave up 300 fucking yards on the ground. You can't score more than 15 freaking points against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. You literally said before this game, they're the number 1 takeaway defense in the NFL, and you're what, the number 1 ball security team in the NFL? And you fumbled it and threw a pick. The self-awareness, completely lacking. This is one of the first times, ladies and gentlemen, where I concede to a large chunk of the Philadelphia Eagles masses. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and glaze Jalen Hurts because, listen, in the end, genuinely in the end, if you ask me to pick between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, I'm going to pick the quarterback. I'm going to pick the quarterback because I've seen him do it at a higher level, and I've seen him play good football at times. I have yet to see Nick Sirianni as a head coach of this football team, when given the autonomy to make a decision, make a correct one more frequently than not. But at the same time, I am not going to sit here and absolve the quarterback when he's played like dog shit. And again, I'm also not going to suggest that you need to bench Jalen Hurts for the rest of the year and put Tanner McGee in because he's got a bigger arm. You don't know any of that shit. For any of you who are calling for Tanner McGee, you could say stylistically that maybe he fits the offensive skill set better than Jalen Hurts. Fine, I can concede that. But this idea that he would just come right in and all of a sudden this team would be functioning again, give me a fucking break. The offensive line is dog shit. The concepts are stupid. Nobody's able to block. You can't run the football. And Tanner McKee, God bless him, I really do like him and I think he can play. This idea that he somehow has a bigger arm than Jalen Hurts, give me a break. If that's the case, he would have beat out Kenny Pickett last season. And he didn't. Because in practice, they all said he's really not as great as maybe people think he is. Now, again, based on the way Jalen Hurts played today, I certainly wouldn't mind entertaining the idea of seeing what Tanner McKee can do. Especially considering you need a spark on this offense, and the identity of this team is non-existent. It ain't changing. And here's the thing. They're not going to bench Jalen Hurts because, quite frankly, in the macro sense, you look at the football team and you say, wow, you're 8-4, number 3 seed in the NFC East Conference. In the NFC, atop of the NFC East right now, albeit Dallas looks better. And if the playoffs started today, you would right now be hosting a playoff game. So, again, all the games matter, all the games count, and you are 8-4, right? But my goodness, at the same time, I can't sit here and blame fans for thinking and wondering what it would look like with a different quarterback. I certainly can't sit here and say that, hey, you're in the wrong for saying that maybe it will look a little different without Jalen Hurts in the lineup. And again, this guy's Super Bowl MVP. I get it. He's brought in one of the few championships we have had in our city as the starting quarterback. So I understand why people are enamored and in love and really appreciate what Jalen Hurts has done for the city. I 100% agree with you. It's why I believe if you had the choice between picking between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, that you would pick the quarterback. But at the same time, the accountability. You have to do something. You have to send a message. Like McNabb in 07 or 08, whenever it was, when Andy Reid benched him. But here's the problem with this, okay? Here's the problem with that. Do you think Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Laurie are going to admit to that fucking mistake? You think Nick Sirianni is going to risk his job to bench Jalen Hurts and put in Tanner McKee? Of course not. Because that would mean that they were wrong about him. That would mean they would admit a mistake that this organization does not like to admit. It's why they get rid of people who they claim to be too loud or too problematic, like a C.J. Gardner-Johnson, like a Darius Slay. That's why they got rid of guys like T.O. back in the day. It's why they got... I mean, how many times do we have to see this organization do slime ball things for you to see that they're a slime ball organization? And again, I think Howie is the best GM, one of the best, if not the best GM in football. I do think this Philadelphia Eagles football team is one of the better organizations in the NFL because their track record of success suggests so. But my God, for all the good that they do a lot of stupid shit. And for all the great talent that they have assembled, they certainly don't have any accountability for whenever they're playing like shit. Because let's not forget, not only is the quarterback sucking right now because he hasn't played well, not only does this head coach not know what he's doing, in my opinion, despite the fact that they actually won a Super Bowl together, it's beyond me. But guess what? The running back that you paid $20 million in the offseason to is on pace for 800 yards. I mean, what the hell is that? I mean, what in God's name is that? But no, remember, it's just the play caller's fault, right? Give me a break. There's nobody on this team outside of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Jeez Louise, I'm screaming too much. And hell, despite Dallas Goedert, because he's had a career year in touchdowns, I got to give him credit. Credit's due. There's nobody on this team on the offensive side of the ball that's been playing well. Nobody. I don't even know what else to say. Other than the fact that this team has a lot of similarities to what it was in 2023. You come out the gates ugly, winning a bunch of football games. You had a player mid-season inexplicably retire. We had Miles Jack retire in 2023, if you remember that, on the defensive side of the ball. So Darius Smith all of a sudden retired inexplicably. Jair Alexander retired inexplicably. We made a mid-season trade for a defender for a draft pick in Jalen Phillips. And in 2023, we did the same thing for Kevin Byard, who, by the way, played well in this football game too, a former Eagle. All of their revenge games had a revenge game. Kevin Byard, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, DeAndre Swift. Right? Neither here nor there. There's always one side of the ball. In 2023, it was the defense and particularly the sequencing on the offense. And in 2025, this football team, the offense is inept and the sequencing of the offense is terrible. And now you see the defense suffering because of it. You have a head coach who can't stop the bleeding. Again, when this team faces adversity, what the fuck does Sirianni do? He doesn't do a damn thing. He doesn't know how to handle adversity because that's not what he's built to do. That's not his job description. His job description is to take the blame and give all the credit to the front office and everybody else. That's his job. And to listen to whatever the front office says in terms of the game plan and implement it. Because anytime they give him any autonomy, he seems to screw it up. Again, I'm digressing. I was talking about the similarities between 2023 and this season. And in the 2023 season, we were winning games against some of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, we beat the Chiefs. We beat the Bucks. We beat the Rams. I mean, we had some quality. We beat the Bills. We had quality wins against some really good football teams. This year, we have wins against the Rams, against the Bucks, against Dallas in week 1, against the Chiefs. We beat, we just beat some pretty damn good football teams this year. The Lions, the Packers, right? And then there was one game in 2023, that San Francisco game, where you drove down the field on the first 2 drives against San Francisco, against the team that was calling you out. You only came away with 6 points total on those drives, 2 field goals. They marched right down the field. You squandered your lead. They scored a touchdown, and then they boat raced us. That Dallas game was a turning point in the Philadelphia Eagles season, ladies and gentlemen. That Dallas game, you were up 21-0. And you did not score a point for the rest of the game. 24 unanswered points. And then after that game in 2023 against San Francisco, later on, you're just like, hey, we're playing the Seattle Seahawks. We should go ahead and beat that team. We came into this game against Chicago. Now, albeit Chicago's better than what that Seattle team was. And there were some people who were saying this is not going to be an easy game. And most likely Philadelphia, while I think they'll win, could lose this game. They said, hey, you should be able to beat Seattle. I mean, you should be able to beat Chicago if you're the team that we all believe you can be. And they got boat raced. They got their asses kicked. In Seattle that year, they got their asses kicked. And Jalen Hurts in that game looked awful. Just like in this one, he looked awful. There is no game for the rest of the season that this Philadelphia Eagles team should get the benefit of the doubt for. We're done with it. You can't sit there and assume that they're going to beat any team on their schedule. You can't. Not even the Raiders. The Raiders at least got rid of Chip Kelly. So who knows? Maybe they play with a little bit more energy. This football team, ladies and gentlemen, has lost its heart. It's lost its identity. It has no conviction. It has no pulse whatsoever. And you can tell on the sidelines too. And again, my quarterback is not able to uplift it. Because, quite frankly, and again, this is going to piss some people off too, but I don't give a shit anymore. He's listening to Michael Jordan too much, worrying too much about his image and less about the freaking team. Yeah, you're good when times are rolling and when things around you are pretty good. You go out there and you win. But when teams and when there's adversity, are you truly the leader? Are you truly the guy that's going to uplift this team? Are you going to be truly the guy that has an answer? No. Again, it's similar to what Jordan did in his career. When everything was cool and he had one of the best rosters, if not the best roster in the NBA, he never didn't win. But the second there was any sort of change, whether it was not Phil Jackson there, not Scottie Pippen there, not Dennis Rodman there, Tony Kukoc there, all those 1-9 in the playoffs. Couldn't uplift the Chicago Bulls. Jalen Hurts can't uplift this team because he doesn't have the skill set to do so. And again, this is literally coming from a guy who in the offseason was saying Jalen Hurts has the resume of a top 5 quarterback and should be considered a top 5 quarterback until further notice. The only guy that you could even put above him is Matt Stafford. And quite frankly, it's not even a contest. Right now, Matt Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFL, bar none, outside of number 15. Okay? At least he's playing like it. This was an awful, awful loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. And quite frankly, there's no answer to this problem. And listen, we're entering December. So yeah, rumor has it that Frank Reich is going to come into the building as an offensive consultant. And I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you this, because this is going to be my final point before I depart. If Frank Reich comes into this building as a consultant, and the second he walks in, this offense looks any different, and it starts to look functional, I for damn sure am going to call for Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo's freaking jobs. Because if that son of a... if my friend Justin Alfiero does the Riding the Bench Colts podcast, had him as his head coach, calls him Sleepy freaking Frank, okay? And again, Frank Reich's a highly respected man, highly intelligent football coach, great football mind. I am not questioning that man's football IQ or intelligence. What I'm suggesting here, though, is if this guy's coming off the street, walks into this building, and somehow the offense starts to look better from here to the playoffs, if they somehow improve with him in the building, I know 100% sure that this team, this offense, it's all about the coaching staff and how screwed up and stupid they are. That's only if this offense gets fixed when Frank Reich walks in the room. If it doesn't, then I know for sure this team needs a fucking overhaul. And you're going to have to do something with the quarterback and the head coach. Because quite frankly, despite the fact that you won a Super Bowl MVP, despite the fact that he has led this team to a Super Bowl title and a championship, he meaning being both Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, somebody's going to have to answer for this. Look at me. I'm talking my series all acting up. Someone's going to have to answer for this. Because consistently, it can either look like one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL, or it's absolutely the worst offense in the NFL. Consistently. And quite frankly, I mean, the last few weeks I said I wouldn't get angry over it. I clearly lied. I clearly lied. I get angry over it. This is what I do. I stress about things that I don't need to stress about, and I stress about this freaking football team because this is one of the few things that you can watch on TV. As an NFL fan, you root for your team in the hopes for it being a product that you can get behind. I can get behind the winning. I can get behind the players. I can get behind the guys in the locker room here. Because I don't think it's a reflection on, guys like AJ or Devontae or Quinyon or Cooper or Zach. I mean, I think these guys all can play. But they clearly lack veteran leadership. And the one guy that's providing it, the one guy who is sitting there and trying to stand up and say, hey, I'm trying to be a leader here, trying to keep this locker room together is A.J. Brown. And like I said, everyone in Philadelphia as a fan. Jeez Louise. Look at me. I can't even freaking talk. Everyone in Philly wants to get rid of the guy. And in this offseason, when this team does lose in the playoffs, when they do eventually get eliminated, if any of you sit there and call for A.J. Brown's head, I'm going to know 100% sure that you're one of the dumbest people out there and don't know what they're looking at. Because if you think he's the problem, you're blind. Blind. Do you realize in the last 2 or 3 games, every time he's touched, look, this season, every time he's touched the ball, it's led to points on the drive. Every time we started going to him, feeding him the ball, it's led to points. He scored the 2 touchdowns in this game. He scored a touchdown in the Dallas game. Against the Rams, he was one of the catalysts for the offense in the second half. Against the Vikings, he had 4 for $120 and 2 tutties. Do you realize the offense functions better when you give him the football? And I know people are going to point at this game and say, hey, he had his 10, 12 targets and he had 10 catches and $121 and a touchdown or 2. And we still lost 24-15. Don't use that as an excuse to freaking make A.J. Brown the Antichrist. He's one of the few things on this team that actually work. And it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame that players like him and Devontae and Quinyon and Cooper and guys, it's a damn shame that they're freaking exposed to the incompetence that is this offense every single week. That is this coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball every single week. The only thing that's keeping this team together is the fact that you have one of the best defensive coordinators in football who has assembled one of the best coaching staffs in football. And at least on that side of the ball, you have an identity. On the offensive side of the ball, the $200 million offense, it's constant turnover in terms of the coaching staff and the coordinators and the voices in the quarterbacks here. There's no quarterback in the NFL that can develop properly when you hear a different voice every single week and every single offseason. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that you need to hit a damn throw and you can't be inaccurate and you can't have bad footwork and you can't have a slow release and you can't process. You got to be able to do these things. I know I said before that I would end it on something else, but I'm going to end it on this one for sure because I got to pose a question to everybody because it's going to be a topic at some point later on, whether it's in the offseason or later on in the week or it's some few weeks down the road here. Let's just say this for a hypothetical, that the Philadelphia Eagles had an opportunity and NFL teams had the opportunity, that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts were both free agents and open to the market. For anybody who sits there and suggests that Jalen Hurts is the sole problem or that Nick Sirianni is the sole problem, I'll give you this scenario and you tell me what the answer is, okay? If Jalen Hurts was a free agent quarterback right now, how many teams would pick up the phone to bring him onto the roster? Contemplate that. Get back to me. I pose the same question now for Sirianni. If Sirianni were a head coach on the open market, how many teams would pick up the phone and give him a call to bring him into the building? Again, that's going to be a topic that we explore somewhere down the line, because I think you're going to be surprised by how few teams are going to pick up either phone. But this is what we are with this year. And as a fan, I'm not going to sit here and say we need to get rid of Kevin Patullo. We're not going to get rid of Jalen Hurts. We're not going to get rid of Nick Sirianni, at least until the offseason. Offseason might be a different conversation. But for right now, you have to ride this out. You have to finish the season off with this coaching staff, with this quarterback, with this offense the way it is, because quite frankly, you can't change it mid-season. You can't change it now. You ride this out, swallow your pride, take it on the chin, and then in the offseason, you address whatever it is you need to address. But to all Eagle fans, I join you in the fact that I think this offense stinks. I think this football team stinks. I think this head coach is a doofus. And quite frankly, my quarterback this year has been inept. And it gives me no pleasure in saying that. Because again, like I said, I am a guy who supports Jalen Hurts. I am. But for heaven's sake, this is ridiculous. And now we got a team like the Chargers coming up, who quite frankly, I don't know if we're going to go ahead and beat them. I don't know. But I know the one thing's for damn sure. It ain't going to be because this offense is going to outscore the Chargers. It's going to be because the defense shows up, shows some pride, and makes Justin Herbert's life a little difficult. So, wow. That was a tough watch. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below on what we thought about the Chicago Bears team. Like I said, kudos to the Bears. Congratulations for being the team that you are. You deserved it. And Philadelphia, quite frankly, you deserve every ounce of criticism that's coming your way, because this offensive line has looked inept. Everybody's looked soft. The running back looks like he doesn't want to get hit anymore. He looks soft. Jalen Hurts, my quarterback, looks stupid and looks like he doesn't want to get hit anymore. You could tell by his comment on the tush push play. He looks inept. The head coach looks like a doofus and doesn't know what he's doing and looks like he's way over his head, because that's quite frankly how this team looks all the time. Undisciplined, gets penalized every which way. The Kevin Patullo hire looks like a disaster. The guy can't call a game. Everything about this team is inept. And again, this falls on the doorsteps of not only Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo, but Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Laurie. Let's not forget them in this. They're the ones that orchestrate all of this, because they want all the credit when they win. So you have to get the credit when you lose too. And this was an inept organization. This was, at least this year, this organization has made inept decisions constantly. And it's coming to bite them in the ass. Hey. Thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.